Welcome to the very first episode of Whole Lotta Heart. I'm Kayla, and this podcast has been on my heart for quite some time, and it feels so good to finally bring this idea to life. This project is born out of my own grief journey after losing my mom in August of 2021. So this is really a space where I get to share my thoughts and all the lessons I've learned to hopefully help those also going through it. Today, I wanted to start with something a little lighthearted and fun, a bit softer, before we get all emotional and reflective and start talking about grief and healing and all the big things. So, for today's launch episode, we're doing a little host Q&A. Part deep, part fun and random, so you get to know the girl behind the mic, because I want you to feel like you're actually getting to know a real person, like you're making a friend in a sense. I don't want it to feel like, I'm just listening to the girl who started a podcast because she lost her mom, but who the heck is she? I want you to feel like I could be someone you'd actually be friends with. I want you to be comfortable and connected to me. That would honestly mean the world. And what better way for us to get acquainted than a good old Q&A? So I got these questions from my family, friends, and Instagram, and I think that they will give you a good sense of who I am and what my vibe is like. So without further ado, no more stalling, let's get into this Q&A. So let's start with some light and fun stuff. Just some questions so you can get to know me, some cute little icebreakers. What is your name? How old are you? And how would you describe yourself in 3 words? So this is a combo question, but my name is Kayla. I'm 30 years old. I'll actually be turning 31 in the next few weeks at the beginning of July. And if I had to describe myself in 3 words, I would say bubbly, caring, and loving. I think those 3 words sum me up quite accurately. How would your friends describe you? I thought this was a fun question because it really could give you some insight as to what I'm really like outside of the podcast, and hopefully these things will be obvious to you the more you tune in. Wink, wink. And I know that these are my friends' reviews and they're raving reviews, but I thought it was cool to see the qualities that they see in me that attract them to me as a friend. So here's what I got. I got that I was friendly, helpful, caring, understanding, down to earth, funny, kind soul, genuine, respectful, warm and inviting, loyal, protective, and courageous. So I thought this was a pretty extensive list, but I also thought it was just cool to see all the different answers that each friend gave, because no one gave the same answer, except funny. More than one of them said I was funny, but it's just so interesting to see how differently different people can experience you, even if you act the same with them. They pull different things from you. What are some things you like to do? One thing I really enjoy is going to concerts. I love concerts. My friend, she recently told me, she said, if you don't do nothing, you're gonna go to a concert. And she's absolutely right, because I've been to many concerts, and some I've seen some artists multiple times. So like I've seen Justin Bieber 3 times, Beyonce twice, Usher, Rihanna, Chris Brown twice, Lady Gaga, the Jonas Brothers. I just really love the concert scene, and it's beautiful to me how people come together to vibe out to music. Like for one night, no one has any problems, everyone is friends, and it's just beautiful. So I'm gonna keep coming to concerts. And I love spending time with my loved ones, my family and my friends, whether it's, taking a quick trip with my besties out of town, because we do like to skirt out, or going shopping with, my sister and grabbing some Chipotle for lunch. I really value that time with them. And I think that this comes from the realization that my immediate family is very small now. So it's important that I maintain these relationships and I check on them every day. So like I talk to my dad and my sister multiple times a day. So I bet they'd be tired of hearing from me. I talk to my nephew. We don't really talk on the phone, but we text a lot. And, just to check in with him and see what he's doing. But my friends, they aren't friends, they are family. And most of my friends are lifetime friends. My oldest and best friend I've known since I was 4. So we're turning 31 this year. So we've been friends for 27 years. And then my most recent close friend, I met when I was 18. We met at orientation of college. So these are longtime friends. And at this point, they stuck with me. They know it. There's no getting rid of me at this point. Another thing I love is singing. And quite honestly, this probably should have been number one because I do this all the time. I sing in the shower, in the car, laying on the couch, shopping. Singing is just my jam. Sometimes I don't even realize that I'm singing, which is quite crazy. So it just proves that I just really love music. It just comes out of me. And, while I do like to do things and be on the go, I'm a homebody too. I love to snuggle up on the couch and binge watch some of my favorite shows. My shows that are always in rotation are Schitt's Creek, New Girl, or The Office, and I watch them over and over again, and I'm still very entertained by them, and I'm usually very content with binging these shows as my weekend plans. What song or playlists have been stuck in your head lately? So I don't think I have just one song or a specific playlist right now, but I do have a couple of full albums that have been on repeat for the past couple of weeks. The first one would be Travis Garland and his new album, Western Fields. He's not as widely known as I think he should be because he has an amazing voice, so go give him a listen. And then I also have Willie Jones and his Something to Dance To album. I'm realizing that I'm enjoying country music a lot more than I used to, specifically like this modern country that, is a fusion of different genres like pop and R&B. And that's really what these two albums do, and I love that. So they've been on repeat in my car. As a new podcaster, do you have any favorite podcasts that you listen to regularly? Yes, I do. I listen to these every day. I have 3. The first one is Candace Owens. Now, I know that she is a bit controversial because of her political views and her firm stance as a conservative, but I like to listen to her for her investigative journalism series. She's amazing, at least in my opinion, with deep dives and doing research. And to me, listening to her different series is fun because I like to put the pieces together and hear all the twists and turns as she discovers new things. I also admire that she stands 10 toes down in her views and in her beliefs. She doesn't let anyone deter her. She can admit when she's wrong, and that's just something I admire her for. And then my second podcast is The Daily Grace, which is a really sweet podcast that encourages women to seek a deeper knowledge and relationship with God. I am a Christian, and we have a Christian family, and it really speaks to all the experiences that one in their Christian faith journey can face. So I think it's really cool, and, they give, advice on how to navigate different things and scriptures to refer to, so it's a really great study podcast. And the third one is the Rush Hour podcast with Dave Neals. He's a stand-up comedian who he basically gives the news of the day, from all the politics that's happening to pop culture topics. He's hilarious to me, and he's a nice podcaster to listen to on your daily commute. He actually has the morning commute show, so around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then also the evening one, so you can catch him on your way home too. So give him a listen. Give them all a listen. What's your reset routine? I wouldn't really call it a routine because there's not like a step-by-step thing that I have to do, but I have a few things that just help me clear my mind and not give a care in the world for a little bit of time. So the first one, and I hope that you can feel me on this, but I like to play The Sims. I love to play The Sims. I have been playing The Sims since I was 9 or 10. And I don't play them often, but when I do, I can play The Sims for hours. And what usually happens is I have these spurts of time where I'll play the game for 3 days straight, sun up to sundown for hours. And then I don't play them again for 6 months. And usually, because I don't play them often, more times than not, I start new families and I do all the things with them, like get them married and they have babies and, their careers and they open businesses, all the things. But sidebar, One thing I do know is that I haven't experienced even half of the potential of this game because I don't have any of the mods. I don't know how to use the mods. There is a TikTok creator who all she does is post what she's doing in her game with the Sims, and she's got her Sims doing some crazy things. Like, my Sims are living basic lives compared to the things that she's got her Sims doing. So I really need to get on that bandwagon because what is happening? Another thing I like to do when I need a reset is have a concert in my living room. I told you, singing is my jam, so you can find me literally having my own karaoke session with music ranging from Hamilton to Wicked, Beyonce, Whitney Houston, Carrie Underwood. There's no barriers at my concerts because I like what I like and I'm going to sing what I like. And if I don't have a concert or I'm just not in the mood to be belting anything out, I'll just vibe to some music. Either I find something new to listen to, or I'll listen to an album I've listened to multiple times already. And I like to try to find new things and hear new things that I didn't hear before. That's a lot of fun for me. Coffee or tea, and what's your order? While I do really enjoy tea, especially a nice little chai tea or a simple Earl Grey, I'm going to say coffee. I have to say coffee. I am 1,000% a coffee girly. I have at least one coffee a day in the morning. Like, I genuinely like it for how it tastes because for me, I don't get any energy from it all. Unfortunately, for how much of it I drink, you would think I would get a boost from it. But I can literally drink a cup of coffee and be knocked out within 30 minutes in the bed. And for me, I don't know, it's just something about having a cup of coffee in the morning and the smell of it and drinking it out of a cute little mug that just helps to jumpstart my day. And I think that comes from my dad. In the morning as a kid, he would always brew coffee for work and he would always have coffee before he went to work. So I don't know, I guess I'm just carrying over that tradition, but my go-to order is a medium caramel iced coffee with 1 cream and 1 sugar. I'm a basic, simple kind of girl when it comes to my coffee. I don't need too much. All right, now that you have a little bit about my vibe, let's talk about where I'm at right now, what I do, what I love, and how this podcast even came to be. So the question is, where are you in life right now? Right now, I would say I'm in like this self-discovery phase. I've been learning things I like, what I want from my life going forward. I've been learning new activities that I like candle making and Pilates. Well, I've only gone to 1 Pilates class so far. It was hard, but I liked it. I'm learning what's making me happy and what isn't, and really just who is Kayla? Now, as a 30-year-old woman, who is she? And I'm realizing that I still have some work to do on myself, things I want to accomplish for myself, and that's okay. But I'm really happy in this space, and it feels good to say that after, everything that I've been through, it feels really good. What do you do for work? Currently, I work as an academic advisor at a local university. I've been in this role and at this university for about 1.5 years already, and I can't believe the time has flown by so fast, but I work with students who are exploratory or undeclared, and I help them figure out really what their passions are and what their strengths are. And I also work with pre-health students who are trying to pursue professional health careers, such as going to medical school, dental school, PA school, and other health professions, of course. I really like my job and I love my office. It's the most supportive environment. They really care about your professional development, you challenging yourself, taking on new tasks. And it's nice to be student facing almost 100% of the time now. So I've been in higher ed as a field for, almost 6 years now. So I really do enjoy this work. What inspired you to hit record on this podcast? There are a couple things that really inspired me to hit record on this. One being to get me out of my comfort zone a bit and to not care about what others think anymore. Sometimes I get in my head about things like that. So I'm not going to lie. I almost did not hit record on this. Even though it was on my heart, I almost backed out of it. Because for me, I was in my head about what people would think about me trying something like this. Because in my mind, this is a really big project. What if I don't like it? What if I get 5 episodes in and I hate it? Or what if I'm not good at it? And I also had thoughts like, Who am I to create a podcast like this, to tell people about grief and why anyone would listen to me about my experience? A little bit of imposter syndrome was running rampant. So it took a reframing in my mind about this because I knew what I wanted to do. And I decided that I'm not going to let what others think of me trying something new deter me. Because on the flip side, what if it's great? What if I'm a bomb podcaster? I wouldn't know if I let others determine what I'm going to do. And aside from that, ultimately, I wanted to be a support and create a community in a sense. As I was going back and forth in my mind about starting this, I was noticing that others in my life were experiencing loss left and right. And I was having conversations with them about how they felt and about how I dealt with things. And it made me realize that there's a need here and an interest and a yearning to connect and feel heard. So that's what my vision for Whole Lotta Heart is. And personally, this is how I'm viewing it. I would love, love, love for this podcast to reach and resonate with many people. But if only one person connects and feels seen and validated, then the podcast has done its job. And even more personally, if no one likes it, if no one feels connected, it's nice for me to speak my thoughts out on a platform to someone that's not my sister or my dad. While they have been, a great support, it's different. And this is legit therapy for me. What does Whole Lotta Heart mean to you? It means to be able to give yourself permission to feel everything, whether it's joy, sadness, anger, confusion, relief, whatever it is, allowing yourself to feel it fully, being open to the journey that your new life after loss will take you on, because it will be a journey. It will be one heck of a journey. It will have its ups, its downs, happiness, sadness, maybe even more loss, you name it, but it's still very beautiful and can be fruitful at the same time. What type of episodes can listeners expect? Right now, I will say you can expect mostly solo episodes. This is a podcast from my perspective. I want them to be like a chat with a friend, nothing incredibly formal. From what I've planned out, the episodes will be reflective. I also don't plan to hold you hostage for too long, so episodes will range mostly between the 15 to 30-minute mark, just to say what I need to say. And as I evolve the podcast and continue to find what works for me, I reserve the right to make changes to all of this, but this is what to expect for now. So now we will shift gears just a smidge, because as much as I want the podcast to be fun, it is also deeply personal. So I want to share the why behind all of this. So what made you want to talk about grief publicly? I think that due to the sensitive nature of grief, it makes people uncomfortable sometimes, and people tend to shy away from talking about it. Grief is not the most exciting thing to talk about. And so I think there is a stigma placed on grief, and people just avoid it at all costs. Until losing my mom, I had never experienced a loss so heavy. So I understand how hard it can be to talk about it with those who have. And, those of us who haven't experienced anything like that, we make these conversations short and sweet because they can be sad. And you always think, well, what can I say to make this better? But while avoiding it may make others feel more comfortable, those who are actually experiencing the loss can tend to feel alienated and unsupported, and they feel like they have nowhere to turn. So I want to make grief more of a common topic so that when we need to talk about it or talk someone through it, it's a little bit easier. I also think that it's important because grief isn't always referring to the death of someone. It can be referring to loss of a home, of a job that you loved, of a friendship ending. So I think we need to be equipped or at least aware of basic ways to console people through these periods of their life. What's been the hardest part about navigating grief? Well, the hardest part about navigating grief is that, this is just for me, that the person I would normally call for advice and support is the person that I'm grieving, my mom. I trusted my mom's opinion and advice and her thoughts blindly because I knew that she would never tell me anything or do anything to hurt me or jeopardize my well-being. So to not be able to call her and say, "Ma, my tummy has been in knots all day because I feel anxious about this," or "Ma, I experienced this today. Have you ever experienced this? How did you get through this?" It's really hard. Yes, I have support from my sister, my dad, my friends, but there's nothing like being able to call your mom. So that's been the hardest part for me. What have you learned about yourself in the grieving process? I would say that I learned that I was a people pleaser. And I say was because I like to think that I'm recovering from that. But I tend to care a lot about others to the detriment of myself sometimes. And that in no way, shape, or form is healthy. Grief has taught me that I cannot pour from an empty cup, and my needs and feelings are just as valid as those I try to care for. I also learned how strong I am, physically, mentally, emotionally. Yes, I am grieving the loss of my mom, but I feel that I've been able to process things in an amazing way. I've supported my family through this, and I got help in the form of therapy once I realized I needed it, which in my book is a signal of strength as well. So I think it's important to note that I don't want this podcast to be just about me. It's about you too. So before we wrap up here, I have some questions that will hopefully share what I hope this space can be for you. What do you hope people feel after pressing play? This is going to be the shortest answer I give today because it's the most simple. I want people to feel seen, validated, and to have those, "oh, same, me too" moments when I can verbalize and put feelings and thoughts into words. That's it. I just want a sense of community and for people to feel like they're not alone. For those of you who are new to grief, what is something you want them to know? It's hard to pick just one thing, but I guess you can just tune in for more. Little plug there. But for this question, I'll say this. It's not cookie cutter at all, this journey. And that's okay. It's more than okay. It's not supposed to be because we're all different people and we all have different connections to who or what we are grieving. So my advice is to not compare your grief journey to anyone else's. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. And if you think that you aren't keeping up with someone else's grieving or that you're not doing the same things as someone else's, you will never be able to fully be present in your journey and do the work that you need to do for you to grow and heal. All right, that is a wrap on our first little heart-to-heart, our Meet the Host Q&A. I hope this gives you a feel for who I am and why this podcast means so much to me. Next episode, I'll be sharing my story of how I entered the grieving journey, and it's a deeply personal story, very emotional for me, but I can't wait to be able to share it with you. So, if you're feeling like you found a new bestie here, I ask that you leave a comment, follow the show, or share the show with someone who may need a community. I thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of Whole Lotta Heart. It genuinely makes me feel amazing. Until next time, keep going, keep giving yourself grace, and remember, you've got a whole lot of heart.